Phil Lynott's last ever television interview was conducted just a few weeks ago by Dante Benuto for Music Box. Dante talked to Phil about his attempts to get a new career and a new band underway after the demise of Thin Lizzy.
When Thin Lizzy finally split up, you put together a band called Grand Slam, who toured quite a bit, and I did some demos, I would imagine, but never signed a major record deal. And yet now you've gone solo from Grand Slam and the band don't exist, you've signed with Polydor. Why couldn't Grand Slam get a recording contract?
I don't know. I mean, Grand Slam couldn't get a deal at all. And then a couple of the lads got bored and, you know, they left, so I was forced to go solo. The minute I went solo, people started offering me deals. I got a deal with Polydor. I got, you know, Gary asked me to do some stuff with him. I was working with Paul Hardcastle. Been writing some stuff with Rick Parfit from Status Quo. You know, and all these things that happened to me since I went solo. But I think maybe Grand Slam suffered the backlash from the Thin Lizzy support, because obviously a band that potentially could be good compared to, you know, a band that had been around like 12 years with a string of hits, you know, and doing completely opposite venues, because Lizzy were playing major venues and Grand Slam were doing sort of smaller venues. I just don't think Grand Slam won in the comparison, so.
Also, you had the same formation as Thin Lizzy with two guitar players and yourselves doing bass and vocals. Do you think maybe people couldn't accept seeing you outside of Thin Lizzy because they'd become such an institution?
I don't know. You know, like, this is all supposition. You know, all I'm saying is that Grand Slam couldn't get a deal, you know, when the band, maybe we were bad, you know, maybe people just genuinely didn't like it, but I mean, I was giving it 100%, and then when it fell through, like, things started to happen, and I landed on my feet.
Well, the material sounds good, because Military Man was from Grand Slam, and so was 19, I understand, was another Grand Slam song. Yeah. So obviously the songs are quite strong.
Yeah, which I wrote, you know, but
yeah.
There you go. I mean, we were trying, and we just didn't get a deal.
Do you think
now I have. Buy my record.
Do you think we'll ever see Thin Lizzy back on a stage again, or is that now something completely in your past?
There was something in the paper, in the Daily Mirror yesterday, I think, saying that Thin Lizzy were going to get back together again. And there was a quote from the management saying that we might get together to do a charity thing. We all keep in close communication. I mean, I was working with Scott recently, and Brian Downey is going to play. See, I'm going to get a band together for March and tour with me, the album. I have another single coming out in January. I'm doing another single with Gary Moore in January. Right. So I'm going to get a band together, and Brian Downey has said he'll work in it.
Oh, he's definitely going to be the drummer then?
Yeah, so he said he will. So.
And will this be a band featuring two guitarists again? That was kind of the Lizzy trademark, the two guitarists.
I may go for the two guitar thing. I don't know. At the moment, I'm just in the process of working it out, you know, like I'm checking out guitar players and keyboard players. And I really, what I want to do is finish the album. When I get the album finished, then I'll know what I need in the band to promote the album.
Right.
And so, really, but as far as Lizzy's getting back together again, I mean, we haven't thought about getting back together again. I'd like to establish, like, a solo career first before, you know, I'd start to live off past glories, you know.
You say you're putting together a band at the moment. Will that be called the Phil Lynott Band, or will there be another name for it?
I don't know, because, I mean, the album's going to be a Philip Lynott solo album. Once I get, you know, minor details like what it's going to be called, it doesn't matter to me, you know. Like, I mean, it probably will be Philip Lynott, and, you know, I mean, it depends, really. When I'm in a band situation, regardless of who's up front, or I like it to work, I like it to be give and take from all the musicians in the band. I don't like a dogmatic structure where I go, you play this and play the same thing every night. I like people to give input, because the bass is part of the rhythm section, so it plays behind the voice or the lead guitar. So as a bass player, I like to play with the musicians, and obviously as a singer, you know, front it, you know. So when I do get a band together, I'll be working on that basis, but probably it will be Philip Lynott and
whoever.
Mr. X, you know, whatever, yeah.
Is the album...
And Thin Lizzy. Joke.
Is the album going to feature a stable set of people on each song, or will there be special guest appearances from different people?
I'd like to take advantage of the fact that, you know, I'm solo and free to work with whoever I want, so I'll try and get special guests. So like John Sykes or Brian Downey and Gary and, you know, just various different people. I'll try and get people that suit the particular songs that are going to be on the album.
And what sort of material will that be? Will it be very varied, or will it be more aggressive?
Well, I like, with the album, the producers that I'm going to use on the album, I'd like to go over the material with each individual producer. For example, they have Tom Dowd, who does like Phil Collins and Eric Clapton, and who did Molly Hatchet.
Molly Hatchet, yeah.
He's been around ages. Now, he likes certain songs that I've written, because of, you know, it's 2 years since Lizzie broke up, I do have a lot of songs written. So I'll go with the songs he likes, if I like them, and get them ones produced. And the same, say I got Peter Collins to finish off the rest of the production, or I'll go with that. But in general, it should be more balanced than, say, my other solo albums, because when I had the other solo albums, I was in Thin Lizzy, and Thin Lizzy took all the heavy stuff, and I got all the fish that John West rejected. And so my solo albums were much softer than I was, whereas this time there should be a better balance. There should be more upfront hard stuff and a couple of ballads maybe thrown in.
I understand you've done some writing with Huey Lewis. Will any of that appear on the album?
I've done some recording with Huey Lewis. We didn't write anything together. He was producing some stuff. He took me out to San Francisco. He wanted me to try one of his songs, and he liked one of the songs I'd written, so we got together and did that. And everybody seems to like it, so that may end up on the album. I'm not really sure at the moment. What I really want to do is get in and have it on tape, and then pick the best from what I've done.
That LP was never finished due to Lynott's death, which may be attributed to his addiction problems. He attended a drug rehabilitation centre in 1982 for treatment, but was arrested a number of times since for possession of cannabis, cocaine and the killer drug heroin.
Phil, you've got a single out at the moment called 19, which is quite an aggressive, punchy little number. Did you think it was time you showed the world that you're still a rocker at heart?
Yeah, so I suppose so. The point was that I got a solo deal, and I figured that because this is the first single I've released on my own since Thin Lizzy broke up.
Right.
So I did think that I should establish that, you know, I was rocking, rather than come out with a ballad or something, you know.
It's produced, of course, by Paul Hardcastle, who's also had a hit with a song of a similar name, in fact the same name, 19. That's quite a surprising choice, really. Did you not think of using a more established heavy rock producer to produce, as you said, your first post-Lizzy single?
Well, one of the things about the heavy metal productions, I think, they're becoming very bland, and I wanted to experiment with the production of it, you know, just with people like Van Halen working with, you know, Michael Jackson, and like ZZ Top doing dance mixes and stuff like that. I thought when we were looking for a producer, obviously because the title was the same, I mean, that's how Paul Hardcastle came about, and I knew he was available to do productions. And I thought it'd be interesting if he put some sort of scratch mixes or dance mixes to a hard rock song. So that was my reasons for asking him, and then he accepted because he wanted to show that he produced more than just dance records, you know. And he liked a lot of Thin Lizzy stuff, like Johnny the Fox meets Jimmy the Wave and stuff. He used to like all that. So he was very keen to show, you know, to spread his wings and do some other stuff. So when I turned up, he ended up playing keyboards, and he's a very good keyboard player. And I got Robin George because he was, you know, the available guitar player. Gary was busy at the time, and some other friends of mine were busy at the time. So, and I played on Robin George's stuff, so we got Robin George down because I wanted somebody I knew.
I thought you might have asked John Sykes, actually, if he was...
Well, he was away. He was in Vancouver doing some stuff with...
oh, he's playing with Whitesnake, isn't he? Yeah.
So I ended up Robin. So it was good, though. I mean, it turned out really well.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of experimentation going on. The B-side of the 12-inch version has a dub mix, which is something you rarely see in heavy rock. Do you think there's a serious place for that kind of production in the rock world, or is it just a novelty, a bit of fun?
I wanted to experiment with it. I think there probably is. Like, I do believe that heavy metal productions have become fairly bland, and there's not enough rock in the charts. And I think the same with the single that Gary Moore and myself did together.
That's Out in the Fields and Military Man.
Yeah, we got a contemporary producer like Peter Collins who does Nick Kershaw, just to give it sort of a different atmosphere rather than a bland, you know, just the way you imagine heavy metal to sound. So I just thought it would be neat to experiment with the productions. There is so much new technology, so I thought, why not experiment around it?
We should explain why the single is called 19. Is it to do with the age 19?
It's to do with the aggression of the age of 19. Also, there was a biker gang that when I was in America, I was in a bar, and these Hells Angels walked into the bar, and this guy had 19. They must have been the 19th chapter or something. And they walked in, this guy came into the bar and walked into the bar and banged his fist on the bar and went, you know, I'm bad, give me a beer. You know, and from that I got the inspiration for the song. And then, you know, the song, say, as opposed to, say, Paul Hardcastle's, which is, you know, was a fact at the average age. You know, mine was just about the aggression of feeling 19.
You mentioned about these bikers in Los Angeles, I think, and you went to America to shoot the video to back up the single.
Yeah, the original bikers I seen was in Texas, but when it came time to do the video, I thought it would be good to have, you know, instead of making a glamour video with like lots of pretty girls and stuff, I thought I'd make a macho one without being chauvinistic. And so I went for Men and Machines, and because there is bikes all over, you know, the record, I thought it would be good to go somewhere where they hadn't got the helmet laws, you know, because I'm trying to get a Hells Angel gang and show Harley Davidsons.
So that's a genuine Hells Angels gang in the video?
Well, some of them are, and some of them are extras. I mean, the guy I'm cruising around with at the end is one of the guys that was an extra, is the bass player from Twisted Sister.
Mark the Animal.
Yeah.
Twisted Sister.
Well, he's on the bike there too. You know, he's an extra in it, so he's part of the Hells Angel gang in this particular video.
In this, the final section of Phil Lynott's last TV interview, Dante asks Phil if perhaps he's attempting to break down musical barriers in the way Elvis Presley did.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not so much that I'm trying to break down the barriers. I do, because I've always liked different types of music, you know. Like I think one of the things that the music papers and the media in general do to their detriment is, like, they make things separatist, like Kerrang only does heavy metal and NME only sort of does left wing off the wall, you know, music and stuff like that. So I've always been able to say, like, say, a dance record to a punk record to a rock song. I happen to be, my forte happens to be playing rock music, you know, but I see no reason why. Every time there is a breakdown of, you know, like when Elvis did sort of country and western and sort of black music by one artist, it broke down barriers. When Hendrix, you know, messed around with, you know, fusions and stuff, I always think something new comes out of it. And I've always, you know, I mean to continue to, with the manner to which I've become accustomed.
It was that manner in which Phil had become accustomed that finally killed Phil Lynott. It was also the subject matter to many of his songs. Phil Lynott was admired by many, and will be missed by many more.
Ballads well written and chorused now. You can always hear the king call. You can always hear the king call. I cried